Hi Ninja Nerds, in this video today we're going to be talking about creatinine and BUN. So if you do like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. And then go on over and check out ninjanerd.org. That's where all of our notes and illustrations for all the lectures that we put up here on YouTube are able for you guys to purchase and use to study. So let's get started here with creatinine. So as we talk about creatinine and we work through our renal series, I think it's really important to just understand that BUN and creatinine aren't different, but they can be synonymously learned. They're very similar in their aspect of once we see something wrong with the BUN or creatinine, the treatment and the care is very similar. So let's first talk about creatinine. What is creatinine? So first, let's back it up a little bit. We got a skeletal muscle here, right? Then we got the blood vessel and then eventually the kidney, okay? So what happens is in our body, we have creatine that we can ingest and we naturally have that eventually comes and works into our muscle. And within our muscle, what happens is we have creatinine that is a byproduct. So we have creatine and ATP, right? And what's ATP? It's important to have in our skeletal muscles, helps us move, it's our energy, it's our ability to be mobile, right? So with creatine and ATP, they can actually take the phosphorus, right? Because ATP is 3 phosphorus are on there. So what we can do is we can take a phosphorus off and we'll have a DP, right? Which means we have diphosphate or 2. And then we have phosphocreatine. Okay, what does that mean? So with movement of muscle, right, we're going to use energy. But if we don't need to move our muscle right now, maybe we're sleeping, we can store it. And we have it in our stored form here. And what happens is if we need to use that and get more energy, we can make this phosphorus that's here on the creatine go back on to this ADP to make ATP, right? And then we have the ability to move. And through this process back and forth, we're storing energy, we're using energy, right? We're able to use our muscle is where we can get our byproduct of creatinine, right? So when we have this byproduct now, it's waste product, right? This is basically garbage that we need to get rid of. It'll essentially move into our bloodstream and then move into our kidney to get wasted into our urine. And that's fine, right? That's what we want. We want to get rid of waste. And when we don't do that, when there's something wrong with our kidney that isn't filtering out, right? Our glomerulus is not working. We're not filtering out at the correct rate. We might have a buildup of that product. So with that being said, what is the normal range for us to have within our body? I like this blue color. So what is a normal diagnostic number that we're looking for when we have creatinine? So we're testing a patient's blood, we're getting a lab result, and we're looking for anything from 0.6 to 1.2 milligrams per deciliter. And what this is saying is that patients that have this, it's a normal level. It's normal to have some creatinine within the blood, right? Because it is a byproduct that we're getting rid of. But if it were out of that range, that's where we could have some issues. Now, granted, this range could be a little different per person, per facility, right? Male, female, elderly. So just keep in mind that this is the general range that we use that's appropriate, but it can be slightly different between that. And then we also have our creatinine clearance, which we have talked about before. What's our creatinine clearance? This is the test that we can use for urine. It's also known as our 24-hour urine, right? So what do? Patient wakes up and then they go pee, right? When they do void, when they do urinate, this is the first one that we throw away. So we discard the first one. And then that will start our timer. So now for 24 hours, we are going to collect all the urine and put it on ice, right? And what that's going to do is that we're going to be able to test to see how much creatinine is going into the urine throughout a 24-hour period. And that can also tell us if there's some issues going on with the kidney filtration, right? So if there's any change in delineation here within this range, we can think, all right, there's something going on with someone's kidneys, or if there's something else going on in the creatinine clearance. So we do the diagnostics. We might be thinking, okay, there is something going on with their creatinine. Their creatinine is a little off. What are some of those causes? So the first thing we can look at here, we'll just use black, it looks nice. If we have an increase, right, and this is the more common thing that we're going to see, is there an increase in creatinine? Meaning the number is higher than it should be, right? It's going to be greater than 1.2. What could be some of the issues here? And I drew these little diagrams that helps you to figure it out. The first thing is, what is this whole series that we're talking about here? We're talking about kidney. So if there's any type of kidney disease, right? So this person has something, whether it's a chronic kidney disease, it's an acute kidney injury, anything of those range could be causing an issue with filtration and therefore causing an increase in that number. There could be overuse of the muscles, right? Maybe we just did a really strenuous exercise, right? It was not something we were maybe conditioned for. We overexerted ourselves and now we're having an increase in that. Could also be any other issues going on with dehydration from working out. Maybe we worked out too hard and our body would be able to filter out everything, but we didn't hydrate correctly afterwards. So now we have a buildup. Could also be some type of decreased blood volume. Okay, same thing with that dehydration. Could also be some type of chronic heart disease, right? Or could be something with medications, right? There are some meds that we can look into, like NSAIDs, right, or antibiotics that could just be causing issues to increase our creatinine. And then there's also the other side, right, the decrease. What could be causing some decreases? Well, this person maybe has a decent amount of muscle, right? They did a really strenuous exercise. On the other side, if we're talking about skeletal muscle, working skeletal muscle as a byproduct, this person could just have a lean muscle mass, right? Maybe they don't have as much skeletal muscle, so that's going to be using up all of that creatinine creatine, which is making that creatinine. So because we're not using as much, we have that lean muscle, we aren't producing as much creatinine. Could also be overhydration. And this could be other medications as well, okay? And what we're looking at here, right, if we really start looking at what are some of the causes that are causing issues within this person's creatinine levels, it's things that are very point specific to that patient, right? Did this patient just overwork themselves in the gym one day? Does this patient have an underlying kidney disease? Are they having something else going on where they were just put on new medications that we need to alter? So that is the first part that we're going to talk about is creatinine. The next part we're going to talk about is BUN, and then we'll wrap it up as to how we take care of those patients. Moving on then now to BUN, we're going to talk about blood, urea, nitrogen, right? Because that's what our BUN stands for. So when we talk about blood, urea, nitrogen, we are going to be focusing on the liver now. All right, with blood, urea, and nitrogen, what happens is we have some processes that occur in our body, right? We have deamination, and essentially, we eventually get ammonia that goes into our liver. And we know as nurses that ammonia is something we don't want in our body, right? And our body knows that too, so what it does is it does a little bit of maneuvering and changes our ammonia into urea, right? And this is a little more less toxic, still something that we don't want in our body, but we are able to process it and move it about our body. Once we have urea into the liver, we can move it into the kidney and essentially urinate it out as well, right? So urea is very similar in the sense that it's a product, a waste product we don't want in our body. As it starts to build up, we can be seeing some issues. We can also see some issues with it being decreased. So when we're talking about blood urea, nitrogen, or BUN, we are talking about a range from 7 to 20 milligrams per deciliter. And when we're talking about this, it's really important to note that this, again, can be a little different per facility, per person, per patient, okay? And we can look at here what causes some increases and what causes some decreases. So with increased, it could be something, again, very similar to what we talked about before. Was there some sort of dehydration with this patient? Right? They had some issues. Is there some sort of underlying kidney disease that this patient is experiencing? Are they on some sort of medications that are causing this? Whether it's medications that are causing kidney issues, medications that are causing some other issues within the liver, we don't know. But it's something that we can look into. And then also a decreased number. If it's less than 7, is there overhydration? Okay. Is there some type of liver dysfunction going on, right? So this is what we're looking at here is there an increase or decrease? What's going on with this patient as well? And as you can see from the creatinine and the BUN, when we look at these increase and decrease, it's very, again, specific to the patient, which leads us into what is going on with their clinical manifestations. Clinical manifestations can be very broad, right? And that's why we have to do these blood tests, or we have to do any type of urine tests and other investigative diagnostic tests in order to figure out what's going on with our patient. But generally, when you start to see these patients, there are a couple things that could be very similar, right? They could be complaining of fatigue. They could be complaining of confusion, right? And then one of those things that we always want to hone in on is a decrease in urine output, right? Because that's telling us at least something might be going on with the kidneys, right? We also can think about if there's an issue with filtering, right? If it's decrease in urine output, right? They're not filtering out things that they need to. We can also think about electrolyte imbalances. When patients have electrolyte imbalances, one of the biggest things the NCLEX likes to hit on is what? Something within the heart. So we can always say they're complaining of heart palpitations, right? And then that could put us all down the line of other issues with breathing, circulation, and things like that. But clinical manifestations are very unclear as to what's going on with the patient, right? It's just not peeing as often, or they just seem, dad just seems a little off today. I don't know what's going on. He's been complaining of being tired. But all of this is where we start to put in that investigation of, we need to get some blood work. We need to get some images maybe. We need to do some urine tests in order to figure out what's going on with this patient. And then our treatment just basically comes down to what is our underlying cause for this patient, right? So ideally, we're right in the realm of the I's and O's, right? We're making sure the patient's diet is good, and then we're going to be going over those medications, right? Now, remember we said previously, if it's some sort of medication, we're going to look into things like changing the med. If it's something they have to be on chronically, maybe the one that they're on is just not what we want to be on. I also want to look into if it's an antibiotic, is it a temporary fix? Is there something else we can change it into, right? And then we're also going to be looking at the underlying causes, meaning the I's and O's, as what's going on with them. Are they even able to drink? Is there something else that's going on? Are they decreasing drinking because they're having other issues with their teeth or their mouth or things like that? So the treatment is going to be going towards this patient and their underlying cause. What is the issue with this patient that is causing the problems with their kidney or their liver? And then from there, we're going to be able to investigate and hopefully get this patient back on the road to feeling better and at least correct these numbers. So I hope this video made sense. I hope it cleared up a little bit about creatinine and BUN for you. And as always, until next time.